morning, serve this may concern. Christian Aguilar here, back with another movie review, and before I get into it, I still know what you're thinking. Yes, my does he look scrumptious in that bat suit. No, but for today's video, I'm going to finally be reviewing the long-awaited, recently released Batman film entitled The Batman. It's finally here, man. It's finally gracing our screens, and I cannot be happier to have seen it. Fair warning. Warning right now. Warnings all around. This video is going to contain spoilers. Up the wazoo. I'm going to be discussing everything, almost everything, maybe not every single thing, but almost everything. Things I liked and things I disliked, and things I kind of hope would have happened. So without further ado, let me just jump right into the review. So this new Batman film follows Batman in his second year of crime fighting. For the most part, everyone seems to be established. He is already established in the GCPD as a vigilante. Some people can trust him, other people can't. But regardless, like many have said, we don't see his origin in this movie, and it's refreshing, man, because this is something a lot of fans didn't want to see again, rehashed, the death of the Waynes. You know, we know it already happened, so let's get into more of the deeper side of Gotham. You know, let's explore more of the things that they possibly would have done in the past rather than just focus on that moment of death. So I like how they're taking that aspect and really expanding it and really fleshing it out for this new take. So when the Riddler, a sadistic serial killer, begins murdering key political figures in Gotham, Batman is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement with certain crime families. Along the way, he runs into characters like Penguin and Selena Kyle's Catwoman, and this is where we are truly introduced to this new world of Batman. So the film stars Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano, Colin Farrell, John Turturro, Andy Serkis, Peter Sarsgaard, no, not a Skarsgård, he's a Sarsgaard, and of course Robert Pattinson as the Dark Knight himself. So first and foremost, the thing I loved the most that just stood out to me immediately, the cinematography, the lighting, my goodness, it was just spot on, perfect. The cinematographer Greg Fraser is one talented dude. I mean, he recently shot Dune, the movie Dune, so if you ever seen the recent adaptation of Dune, which I'm pretty sure you have, beautiful looking film. He even shot Rogue One and Zero Dark 30, beautiful looking films, and I mean, they just scream grittiness, yet they're stylized. It's like a stylized grittiness that he has, the look to his films, and I just absolutely adore what he did with the Batman. There are several shots that just scream graphic novel. Like, it looks like it could be a graphic novel panel. It really does, and it's so cool. The look of Gotham, to have a court, you know, right off the bat, I mean, Chicago is Gotham. The city of Chicago is Gotham City. And I just love how they use the city of Chicago as a template for Gotham. They take the exterior shots of Chicago's downtown loop, and then of course they put CGI neon signs or CGI buildings, like, you know, they extend some buildings to make it look a little more gothic, a little more Gotham City-like. So being a Chicago native, I've always loved the fact that they've always filmed Batman movies here, from the Nolan trilogy to even Batman vs Superman, and now the newest iteration of the Batman. It's always heartwarming and cool to see the city I live in, the city I was born in, as one of my favorite fictional cities in probably all of literature. My friend and I even saw when they were filming here in Chicago. We ended up driving around and we just started taking photos and videos of every vehicle that we saw. There was like Gotham themed taxis, there was GCPD cars all out on the streets. There was even Batman and Selena Kyle's motorcycle, and I cannot believe I have an image of it. It's probably not the best quality of image, but I still have an image of it, and that's pretty damn cool. They even had the Thompson Center as the Gotham Square Garden in the movie, a play on Madison Square Garden in New York. Gotham, to me, in this movie, Gotham feels very much alive, and the cinematography not only brings that to life, but the soundtrack, the original score. I know they released a lot of the music before the movie even came out, and I listened to some scores. You have to remember, I listened to the Catwoman and Riddler theme, and I thought they were really cool and really distinctive, especially the Riddler scene. It felt very angelic yet haunting, and that was just great foreshadowing as to who the character actually is. So hearing the original score in this movie along with Nirvana's Something in the Way, it's just a great use of a soundtrack, in my opinion, that really just brings you into this world. The main theme for this movie, it sounds very haunting, yet it's very heroic at the same time. Like, yes, there's darkness, however, there's a little bit of light in that darkness, and that light is what you fight through the dark to get to, and that's what the soundtrack felt like. And to mirror that, I love the use of daytime shots in this movie. It feels like every time Bruce is in the Batman suit and it's daytime, it always gives a sense of hope. Like, he tells Selena not to throw her life away, that killing isn't the answer. He prevents her from killing. And this scene that was taking place on the rooftop takes place at sunrise. And of course, the other daytime shot that takes place is towards the end, where he's helping all the civilians out from, you know, when the flooding happens. He's helping helping out all the civilians, and I like that moment where he's with the woman and he's like trying to lay her down on the stretcher and she's holding on to him like, oh my, I'm terrified, I'm traumatized. Even in his narration, Batman has narration in this movie, which I fucking love. Even in his narration, he says, this city is traumatized, its people are traumatized just like me, and I need to be there to help them. My goodness, what a symbol of hope. What a symbol of a hero. And I think they captured Batman's heroism very, very well. If you see my 1966 Batman movie review, I said that there would probably be no other Batman movie to be entirely shot during the day, which is kind of partially true, but I love how they use the daytime shots in this movie. Like, it's not just oh look, Batman's in the day. No, it's for a reason. It's to show that this guy is a symbol of hope. And that just expresses that message so much when you shoot Batman in the daytime, especially when it's sunrise after the night of fighting crime, and now it's sunrise. Now he's looking over his city, and now he's protecting his people. He's looking over his people. It's like, this is Batman's city and these are his people, and he'll forever watch over them. And that is really, really badass. Going back to a lot of shots feel like comic book panels. In particular, the interrogation scene between Batman and Riddler when he's locked up in Arkham. All the shots of Paul Dano being handcuffed and in, you know, the Arkham jumpsuit. All of them, when he's talking to Batman, if you look in the background, it's pitch black. You know, and all that's being seen is Paul Dano in the foreground, just the light, the window frame, and that's it. Nothing else in the background can really be seen. And those shots right there, and those little moments, just remind me of a graphic novel, like a panel in a graphic, like the artwork for, like, the background's all blacked out, but we just see the character's face, because that's all the focus needs to be on. Plus, it also symbolizes that Riddler is shrouded in darkness, shrouded in trauma. There's a whole bunch of darkness in his past, and he's trying to look for the light in front of him. Which I also like the idea that Riddler's like, hey, you and I, we make a great team. If it wasn't for me guiding you to expose Falcone for who he actually is, we would have never have caught him. And he makes it sound like a team effort, which is pretty haunting, and it makes sense at the same time, which I really love how they made Riddler kind of like another side of this heroic coin. Yes, Riddler is a serial killer, and a disturbed one at that, but he's trying to expose the corruption. He's trying to bring things into light that will probably never be brought into light if it wasn't for him. And I love how that plays with the idea that in a situation, multiple people have different ways of going about one same situation, and everyone thinks that their way could potentially be the right way. So I really like that dynamic that Reeves gave Batman and Riddler. Zoe Kravitz, another thing I really liked about this movie was Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle. I think she embodies the character very well. I believe her character takes a lot of inspiration from the spin-off comic to Batman The Long Halloween entitled Catwoman When in Rome, I believe it was called, and it saw Selena travel to Europe in order to figure out her family lineage. In that comic, it was flipped. Selena didn't know that Falcone was her father. However, in this movie, it seems that Carmine Falcone is oblivious to the fact that Selena is his daughter, but she knows it very well. And I found that character relationship quite interesting. And I was a little confused at first when I first saw it, because I didn't know that Carmine didn't know that that was his daughter, so he kept calling her beautiful, and he kind of like treated her as like another call girl or another waitress that works at the club. But to know that he doesn't know that's his daughter, it all makes perfect sense. I also like how they showed the Iceberg Lounge, but it's being ran by Falcone currently. It's not being ran by Penguin yet. And that culminates in the scene where Penguin steps up to Falcone after Batman captures him. He steps up to him and he tells him, you know, basically he's not under him anymore. I'm a bigger man than you now. Basically, it's foreshadowing that once Carmine is out of the picture, there's a power shift that's going to go down in the criminal underworld. And it's going to be a battle to see who's the first one to take reign after Falcone. But going back to Zoe Kravitz, I really like her reveal in this movie. Again, Selena Kyle goes undercover as like a call girl or like a cocktail waitress so she can get close to all the men in suits. You know, all the politicians and mob bosses. So I really like that we're introduced to her when Batman is interrogating Penguin. He's questioning him. It's not like a brutal questioning, it's just he's there for answers, and she just so happens to come in because she's serving Penguin. And I love the look that Selena and Bruce exchange with each other. It's like they're captivated by each other's presence right off the bat. Like right as they meet each other, they're already like hypnotized. And we really see that with Batman. We see him, he's unable to take his eyes off of her. And that's for two reasons. One, he's like really attracted to her. And two, he's on a mission, man. He's a detective. So he's looking out for any and all suspects. Anyone that could possibly know about the Riddler murder that occurred in the beginning of the movie. And if you're an obvious Batman fan, you know where that relationship leads towards. And she also uses a gun in this movie, which I feel, yeah, the comic book Catwoman has used guns before, but a main Catwoman on screen that has used a lot of guns was Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. That was one little problem I had with her version of Catwoman in the Nolan trilogy, specifically Dark Knight Rises. She didn't use a whip at all. I wanted her to use a whip, but she only used guns, which kind of annoyed me. But I like how this new version of Selena Kyle, they can find that balance, you know? She's using a gun because she wants to get revenge, you know? She wants to get revenge on her father. She's on a revenge mission, you know? And I like how, at first, she has the possibility of becoming a killer. But then there's Batman to kind of steer her in the right direction to be like, no, killing is not the way to do it. Don't lose yourself over this, you know? And that's what he essentially tells her. Is like, don't lose yourself. You're still here. And don't let the dark side of this world really get to you, you know? Be better than that. Overcome that. Which that really sets the seeds for Catwoman to be an anti-hero. You know, I think that's what she normally is. Originally, she's a villain, but she ultimately becomes an anti-hero. And with this version of Catwoman, I love that they paid homage to Batman Returns. They had a moment that was almost shot for shot with Batman Returns. She ends up licking his lips up to his nose, and just the positioning of the characters and the positioning of the camera, it was the same shot, dude. That, like, I could not stop thinking of Batman Returns when I saw that, and I thought that was super, super cool. And speaking of great homages, I like how Paul Dano's Riddler has the clear framed glasses. Even when he's wearing the mask, he's still wearing those glasses, kind of like how I am. But I love how he has the clear frames, because that's a clear callback to Jim Carrey's Riddler. Despite his performance being really wacky and over the top, they still found a way to pay homage to his performance, which I also really, really enjoyed seeing, and I just couldn't help but think of both those movies when watching this movie. That's what a good Batman should do, man. Makes you remember the past movies in certain moments while also telling something that's really, really fresh. And another thing with this Riddler, man, I love how he comes off as really intelligent, which Riddler is a very intelligent character, but he's also very, very psychotic. Borderline Joker. There was times where Paul Dano felt like he was playing a Joker type character, where he was just batshit insane, yet he has the intelligence of Batman. So I really admire how they were able to mix both the insanity and the intelligence together to make this very disturbing, very creepy, sadistic characterization of the Riddler. I mean, this one is definitely unique. It will be unique to this film for sure. If we ever see Riddler in like a full-faced mask, we'll know that that came from this iteration of the character for sure. Ever since I first saw this trailer, I automatically thought of Zodiac. You know, just that wearing the glasses over the mask, kind of having like a pentagram or a symbol on like the side of your chest right here. It was just very, very Zodiac. And even the opening scene, my God, the opening scene in this, when they first revealed Riddler, that was just... That's like a horror movie, man. That's a horror movie right there. And I honestly love how much of a horror movie this movie feels. And it feels dreadful at times, especially when Riddler sends the bomb to Wayne Manor and Alfred is turning over the envelope and he sees the bomb there. I honestly thought they were going to kill off Alfred. I'm like, holy shit, is the movie going to have this much balls to do that? I'm like, they can't do that. It's Alfred. They can't kill. But granted, they didn't, and I was just on the edge of my seat the entire time, and that's a real testament to the filmmaking here, man. They knew how to make a very dreadful and horrific Batman movie, and I'm just simply in love with it, man. I was on the edge of my seat. The stakes felt high, and I couldn't get enough of it. This 3 hours felt like an hour and a half to me. And I absolutely love how this movie starts off to what feels like the end of a first Batman movie. Like, if we were, like, traditionally a first Batman movie, see his training, see the Waynes die, he becomes Batman, this and this and that. And then at the end of that movie, he gains the trust of Jim Gordon, and they make a signal. They make the signal for him, and this would be a good ending to a first Batman movie, right? They unveil the symbol, they shine it up in the sky, and like, he's our hero, he's our Dark Knight, and stuff like that, and then cut to credits, right? That is where this movie begins, and it feels like it's picking up from a story that just finished. It feels like it's beginning at the end of year one, which is pretty damn cool. And with the bat signal, I love what they're doing with the bat signal and how Batman is perceived at the beginning of this movie. He is already known, and he's already a symbol of fear. I just absolutely adore those shots of the criminals around the city. They see the symbol in the sky, but then they look over their shoulders. They look in the darkest corner of the alley, and they fear that Batman might be there. That was just perfection. Grade A perfection. I don't think there can be, but that is one of the best ways to open up a Batman movie for sure. and already establishing that people know him. Everyone is not foreign to this figure. People know of him, and when they come across him, it's kind of like they're seeing, you know, Santa Claus in front of them for the first time, right? Or it's kind of like they're in awe of what they're seeing every time he meets someone in this movie. Talk about an outstanding performance. Colin Farrell as Penguin was phenomenal. If anyone is to be nominated, I think Colin Farrell should get a nomination for Best Supporting Actor, and I cannot wait to see what else comes from this character in the future. I mean, we have a whole spin-off series coming for this guy, so it's going to be very interesting to see what that sets up in the future. It's very interesting to see what the GCPD series is going to set up in the future, and I'm just hoping that Jeffrey Wright comes back as Gordon, because again, he is a great Gordon, great performance. He gives a fantastic performance in this, and he is just one of the best Gordons. He's up there with Gary Oldman, man. And Gordon is someone we have yet to see develop into who he is, so that there's still room for that there. Maybe again in the GCPD TV show. And I cannot wait to see how these stories from this movie will expand into those series. And back with Colin Farrell's Penguin, I love how there was a moment where he was tied up after Batman and Gordon were talking to him, and then they leave him there. And he's literally tied up still from his ankles and his wrists, and he's waddling back and forth like a penguin. He's like, hey, you guys gonna leave me here? He's trying to catch up with them, but he can't reach up to him. And the way he does, he just keeps waddling. I'm like, oh, that's a great Easter egg, great homage, great addition to the performance. I'm like, that's Penguin, man. There he is. And again, they found a perfect mixture of wacky and realistic. He is the mobster that we know him to be, yet he's also the deformed freak that Danny DeVito made the character known for. So with those two worlds coming together, we get Colin Farrell's Penguin. And my goodness, these iterations of the characters, these takes on the characters are so faithful, so close to the graphic novels. And on top of that, if you don't feel like these are the definitive caricatures, remember, this is year 2. They still have to grow into who we know them to be, but already I can see that these are the characters. You know, these are definitely the blueprints to the characters that we know and love, and that is just masterclass, man. Andy Serkis as Alfred was great. I wish we had a little bit more of him. And what I mean by that is I like to see more of him spectate Batman while he's out in the field. But I'm pretty sure we'll see more of that in the sequels to come. And I also like how Alfred was there to be the voice of reason to Batman. Batman says, "You're not my father" in this movie. However, Alfred is his father. You know, he doesn't have to say I'm your father. He just expresses, and through his actions, he shows that, yeah, I'm your father. He's like, I'm still going to put up with what you do, even though I don't really agree with it. I think it's dangerous, but I'm still going to support you, and I'm going to help you out with that. That right there is a father figure, and that was really, really cool to see expressed in this Alfred. When they were teasing his death with the bomb, my goodness, that got me on the edge of my seat. And I love how he was recovering in the hospital, he was that voice of reason for Batman. Because the whole thing with the Waynes, you know, Thomas and Martha, their whole secret, I gotta say, was really well done. They didn't make the Waynes despicable people. They didn't make them like, oh, they're actually really evil. No, they had some dirt on them, but that was just because they wanted to save the family name, and it wasn't about images. And that's something Alfred even tells Bruce too. He's like, yes, Thomas did hire Falcone to intimidate the reporter, but he never thought in a million years that he would kill him. So Thomas didn't send a man to kill anyone. You know, he sent a man to try to stop the reporter from exposing the truth about Martha. Martha is actually a descendant of the Arkham family, and the Arkham family and the Wayne family are the founding families of Gotham in this universe. And for your Arkham Asylum fans, the character of Amadeus Arkham is part of the Arkham family. His family is the one that has the mansion on the island, and that island ends up becoming the asylum. And I just love how in the Arkham games you get to find little artifacts and you can hear the memory of Amadeus Arkham. So it's pretty cool to see them bring the Arkham family into this, and not only that, twist it up a bit and make Martha's maiden name Arkham, which is pretty insane to know that Batman is technically a descendant of the Arkham family. I believe the idea of Martha Wayne having like mental issues, or like she's crazy and she was hospitalized, I forgot what comic that was specifically, but I remember that being a part of a certain comic arc. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about down below, because I remember hearing that vaguely in another comic book, and I found that really, really awesome how they brought that back for this movie, and that was something that the Riddler was trying to expose. And I do like how when Alfred told him, you know, he wasn't trying to protect the family image, you know. he was trying to protect the woman he loves, Martha, right? He was trying to protect her ultimately. I like how Alfred basically told Bruce that, it brought him back down to reality. Like, hey, your parents, yeah, they went through some shit, but that doesn't mean that they're bad people. I like how he gave him that little pep talk. And I like to see more of that in future Batman movies. And I also like the fact that the identity of who killed Martha and Thomas is still technically up in the air. Our main guess is Carmine Falcone himself, because Thomas tried to get Carmine arrested for the death of the reporter, but we don't know for sure. And with Falcone being dead due to Riddler sniping him from a window, we'll never figure out, maybe we will down the line, but as of right now, that's a question that's still left unanswered. And I think that's pretty damn cool. I think that's pretty damn cool because again, we know that Martha and Thomas die. But to create an overall mystery, but who did it is pretty smart. Yeah, I know the comics give the answer, oh, it's Joe Chill, or even if you're an 89 Batman fan, it's the Joker. But I like how in this iteration, it's kept the mystery. And I think that's really, really smart of them to do. So with all of that, with all my praise to this film, man, I gotta say, this film is my favorite Batman film. I'm gonna say that right now. This is hands down my favorite Batman film. But the one thing that really threw me off, this is a major spoiler, so I'm going to warn you a second time because this was not revealed in anything. So, major spoiler, the reveal of Joker, the tease of Joker at the end. The actor Barry Keoghan, I adore this actor. I really like his actors. Killing of Sacred Deer, my dad and I and my mom have watched that a number of times. We always reference that movie. It's a great movie, and we especially love his performance in that. So when I heard he was in the Batman, automatically I'm like, he's got to be Joker. And then there's a whole bunch of rumors and articles. His brother tweeted about him being Joker. And so when it finally came to fruition, I was psyched, but the whole edition felt a little bit tacked on at the end. And it just felt a little out of place and just okay, we got to add Joker in this because we got to have a big what the hell moment at the end. That's what it really felt like. But I do like how that sets up, that there's more threats in Gotham. That if we didn't know that by now, there are way more threats and problems ahead in Gotham's future. And that scene kind of sets that up. But I wish that they included the deleted scene. Matt Reeves said that there was a deleted scene where Batman actually goes and talks to Joker, Barry Keoghan as Joker, and I really wanted that scene because that scene was said to have been inspired by Silence of the Lambs, because Batman returns to a previous serial killer, Joker, that he's probably dealt with in his first year as Batman, in order to try to figure out what to do or how to go about capturing this new killer, Riddler. Similar to how in Silence of the Lambs, Jodie Foster went to Hannibal Lecter to try to see how she could capture Buffalo Bill. My other camera battery died, so I'm recording this with my phone, so if it looks a little weird or off, I apologize. But yeah, I love that deleted scene, man. The idea of that deleted scene, which Matt Reeves says we will be seeing sometime soon. The fact that that scene was inspired by Silence of the Lambs, or it could have been a big homage to Silence of the Lambs, where Batman is going to one villain to try to help him out with another villain. I thought that was really cool. So much so that I felt like it should have stayed in the movie. If they would have just kept that scene where Batman talks to Joker about how he should go about getting and capturing the Riddler, that would have been perfect. If that scene was added and then we got, the little scene at the end where Joker's teaming up with Riddler, this would have been the perfect Batman movie for me. This would have been the perfect 5 out of 5, but just because of that reveal at the end and without its companion scene with Batman going to Joker and talking to him, asking for help essentially, that scene just felt tacked on to the point where it just felt out of left field. And yes, I'm excited to see Barry Keoghan as Joker, but the way they revealed him, man, I just felt like they could have done it a little bit better. If they would have just had that scene in there, it would have been awesome. It really would have been. So with all that being said, I got to give Batman a solid 4.5 out of 5 Skarsgårds. Yes, 4.5. This is a great, almost perfect Batman film. I got to say, this is my favorite Batman film, hands down. For me, this is the best Batman film that has ever been made. And I'm not just saying that because I've just recently saw it. I'm saying that after watching a handful of the Batman movies of late, and I'm just like, the closest second is Batman Begins for me. Batman Begins and then it's The Batman. Batman Begins and The Batman are like right here. I just absolutely adore this new movie, and I cannot wait to see what comes in the future from this Batman outing, man. I hope Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Andy Serkis, Jeffrey Wright, I hope all these guys are around for a long time to portray these characters. They do a phenomenal job, for sure. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for reaching to the end of it. Let me know what you thought of the Batman. Have you seen it? Please let me know what you thought of it down below. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. I'm at 285. It is a great blessing to see the channel grow slowly but surely. I really appreciate it. Make sure you check out the rendered image, a show I host with my good friends Tyler and Shan. Link to the channel will be down below in the description. I hope you're all safe and well out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.